Yo, what's up,
My man.
everybody? Welcome to the Frostie and Flake show. Flake, what episode are we on?
Is this
Eight.
is this a conservative 8? I think it's possibly 8.
Holy shit, we made it to 8, man.
I know
Uh,
9 is like I think 10 is the big one,
yeah.
and anything after that, well, my buddy McBeard, the guy who does the main Gwent podcast, he's on episode like 150 or so, and I remember him saying that the big threshold is 10, where if you still have stuff to talk about and it still gels and people still give a shit about it at after 10, then that's a big deal. And then after, I think it's like 10 and 50 are like the major milestones. And then like 10, 50, and 100. And then after that, it's just you go until you essentially run out of gas. But we're still going, which is nice. And I guess that's pretty damn cool.
That works. I think I still like you. I mean, we'll see in a couple episodes.
Yeah, exactly. I see what kind of serial like rage I get into by the end of it. I might just become a complete dick. More so than I am. We might hate each other. Depends if I win your giveaway or not. That is what this entire dynamic is based on.
This lovely box sitting next to me on the floor.
Can we see it? I'm really curious to see it. I don't know if it's worth bending over to get, but
well, it's all packed up already.
All right, I won't say anything.
To see the box, you're gonna have to jump over to my YouTube channel to watch the unboxing video that I've yet to edit and publish.
Okay, so it's a preemptive. Just go there and wait.
Yeah, just go there, subscribe, and then and wait. Hashtag sellout. No, but the giveaway it has started on my channel. For those who have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, I purchased a Throne of Eldraine Deluxe Edition.
Whale.
Fucking thing was like
fucking
thing was like $450 for this
yeah
thing. It's very nice, a very nice box. All the stuff's in it. It's kind of cool. I don't think it was worth $450, but you can win it on my channel for absolutely nothing with the whole giveaway thing going on there. And I'm gonna do it until the end of the month, so November 1st, I think, which is that Friday. At midnight, I'll end it and we'll pick somebody. So
November 1st, midnight.
Yeah.
Do I have to be there?
No, you have to have a legitimate email address that I can contact you at.
Well, I have several for all my different personas. So
oh, is that it?
Yeah, I'm gonna start making accounts now.
But yeah, that was my one thing when I did giveaways for a while. I would give away like a box of Magic cards every other month. But it was just have an email address that I can contact you at, because I don't know if you're a real person or not. One time I got somebody's mom's email. They signed up with their they signed up with their mom's email. I said, hey, you know, like the person used your email to enter into a giveaway and they won. They're like, oh, it must have been my son. Here's the address. I shipped it to him, man.
There you go. Sweet deal. Or it was the mom just trying to have a little conversation with a handsome young lad like yourself.
Too kind.
Yeah, man. I'm just saying. Like, when I win this Throne of Eldraine box set, when I win it, people are going to assume that it's rigged.
Oh, of course. It's always
rightfully
rigged.
So. Rightfully so. They should think it's rigged because, frankly, he's just going to pick my name.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you'll have to fly me to Canada, and then we can go. Oh, you'd have to settle this for me, Mr. Canada.
Yeah.
Is it poutine or Putin?
Okay, so I have plenty of knowledge on this because I was born and raised in Quebec. For 29 years, I lived there.
Okay.
So I speak fluent French. I grew up in a French society, a French neighborhood. It is poutine.
Poutine?
Poutine, exactly like that. You nailed it. Poutine. So that is the proper pronunciation for it. Now, if you want to like anglicize it, it would be poutine, like Pouteen.
Okay.
But it's poutine. Like that is the like
a TS.
Yeah. Ça va prendre un poutine ou quoi là? Like that's pretty much the slangiest, most fucking.
I will not try to butcher that with my terrible Southwest accent.
Yeah, if there was an Alabama, a French Alabama, that would be the pretty much like the terrifying that they would say. So
There. All right. Cool. Well, at least nailed that. That
slammed
question
it
I've
down.
had for years of whether or not it was poutine.
I got you.
Poutine. Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
So what have you been playing this past week, my man?
I dove back into Magic actually. So, and the reason being because the most recent the announcement of the ban, so to speak. Because there was the ban that never happened, and then there was the announcement of the ban of like next ban is on this date. But oh holy shit, hold on a second. We actually have something to ban, so we're gonna ban it on this day. When is that day? Is that like in a couple days?
The 21st.
Okay, so it's in it's in 10 days. Nonetheless, so I dove back into Magic for the past couple of days. Off stream, I've been streaming essentially only Mythgard and having a fuckload of awesome time playing Mythgard. But off stream, while I'm just eating food or watching a movie or whatever, I'm just rocking some Magic. And one thing that I haven't done in a long time is play Best of One. And I looked at the Fandom Legends lists, and there was a Bant list that was super, super easy to make because I owned 90% of the cards already. The only thing I didn't have was the Okos and the Gilded Goose. So I just crafted those, slapped them into a list. It was just 4 of, 2-time wipes. You're good. That was essentially, it was Nissa, Teferi, Oko, Gilded Goose. The only thing I added to it is I added 3 Agent of Treacheries, and in Best of One, Agent of Treachery against Field of the Dead is fucking amazing. Just gonna put it out there.
I hate that card.
It's so good because you bounce it with Teferi, you steal another Field of the Dead. At the end of the first game I played, I was like, I have 3 Fields of the Dead. Like, this is insane. And like, they don't do anything. My opponent was just, they talk so much shit, but as the time that you play Field, and what's hilarious is that people don't know that some people, like, I haven't played in a while, so I got relegated back down to silver. And in silver tier, people don't always know. They think that if you remove the Agent of Treachery, it'll give back the land,
no, it's a permanent steal,
which is hilariously awesome. So you slam it down. They're constantly trying to, they're like making bad trades and stuff like that, trying to get it back, and they're doing their best to kill it. And at the end of the day, you're like, okay, you just bounce it with Teferi. Worst case, you get it back. It's the best thing ever. The best thing ever.
Yeah. So if anybody has no clue what we're talking about, the ban of the announcement of the ban. So the previous BNR announcement, nothing happened. It was literally no changes. Everything's perfect. Everything's great. There are no problems. And then I believe it was a few days later where it was a cutoff for, so on the weekend of the 20th, there was a Mythic Championship. I believe it's MC5 happening. And so the cutoff for decks to be submitted, I believe, was a few days after the BNR announcement. So all the competitors submitted their decks, and obviously they're not going to say, and we won't know until the tournament happens. I guarantee you it's like 80% Golos decks. Like, yeah, it's got to be.
Well, there's a lot of money on the line, right? It's like, this is a big deal.
It's, $40,000. I believe for MCs it's 40 or 50 grand, because I think the arena championships are more. But in any case, so what happened was they posted on Twitter and they posted an article about it that normally the next ban would be a month from now, the 20 something or other of November would be the next BNR, and so their statement was because there would be another MC in between, so it'd be 2 Mythic Championships in between the bannings. They moved it up an entire month so that they could affect the next one without saying we're going to ban something for the next one. Everybody's assuming it's Field of the Dead. I have been praying day and night for the past, like, fucking 3 months to get rid of that damn card. Right. It probably won't happen. They're probably gonna hit something else.
You don't think that it's gonna be that, or maybe is it gonna be?
It might be Golos.
Well, that's what I'm thinking is that maybe they're going to get. But the thing about Golos is that Golos is the symptom; it's not the cause, right? Golos
Mhm.
is just happens to be there to sort of facilitate it. But in
Right.
reality, you necessarily need Golos to make that thing work. Like I haven't touched. I'm not going to dive back into standard paper until this ban is announced because I don't want to walk into a gauntlet of Field of the Dead decks at my LGS because people bought that land a long time ago and were, like
Yeah.
it, you don't trade like in my opinion, you don't. I never get rid of rare lands because you never know when they're going to be important and they
Sure.
get reprinted, so you don't need to get them again when they get reprinted. But to me, it's just like I don't want to get involved into Magic seriously because of the fact that I don't just as a human being with fucking feelings and sanity that I need to take into account. I don't want to bump into the same deck 80% of the time. So and if that's the case, and again, it's all speculation over here because
Sure.
if
We'd have
people
no
submitted
idea.
their decks and they're like, okay, we gotta address this. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the fact that it's like 75% Golos field decks.
Yeah, like I love how like people were posting on Twitter like, "Hey, submitted my deck for MC5. Guess what? It's not Golos." Like they're making an announcement that they're not playing Golos at the MC. Like I'm on a different side of that coin from you. Like I don't mind playing the same matchup over and over and over again if that matchup is interesting and fun and somewhat interactive. If there's play to it, if there's counterplay to it,
Right.
like with Field of the Dead, they just ramp and they just play a land and then they play more lands and those lands make tutus and then they make two tutus and three tutus. Like it's a never ending like clear your board. Here's six more dudes. Clear your board. Here's six more without playing anything.
Well, that's it. It's a very predictable, non-interactive. Because if the best deck was some type of Gruul deck, then if everybody played it, there would still be some sort of puzzle pieces of attacking, defending, value trades, this, that, the other
Yeah.
thing, that kind of line of attack. But this isn't like that. It's just all right, Arboreal Grazer, and then Growth Spiral, and then I guess I have 4 lands now, so let's just drop in with
Yeah.
a Circuitous Route, and now here's all my dudes, and
Yeah.
that's the fucking game, and
there
you
is
don't want it.
there is something to say that like yes, mono red can go under it. If you specifically attack a Field of the Dead deck, you know exactly what their weak point is. It's their land. So if you jam 4 Demolish in your main deck, yeah, you're gonna hit Field of the Dead. Like,
Yeah.
yes, you can attack it specifically, but when we talk about cards or deck archetypes or decks that are not necessarily oppressive, but they're at the point where it's we call it warping, where everybody's either forced to play it or play something that directly attacks it.
Mhm.
That's what leads to bannings, and it's been a while since something like this like truly happened. As much as we want to bitch about Esper Teferi or Amonkhet Mono Red, even back during when I played Cobblade was probably a meta warping deck. It was 60 to 70% of every tournament. And everybody would always say, "Oh, they weren't in the top eights. The top eights were like 1 or 2 of them." But then you look at like 9th through 32, and it's just every single one is a Cobblade deck because there's just so many of them. You're guaranteed to get a few of them in the top 8, and that led to a banning of 2 of the cards out of the deck. So they banned Stoneforge Mystic and they banned Jace the Mind Sculptor. But their reasoning was not the cards are too good or the cards are too expensive or the deck is too good. Their literal reason was people aren't attending tournaments because this deck exists. So we're going to ban these 2 cards out of it.
Well, that's them essentially trying to safeguard the longevity of that format.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now I'm not playing at my LGS because of particularly that card. Or I mean, maybe they're just going to get rid of Teferi and say, all right, now Teferi won't lock you down in certain ways, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But Jesus Christ, I mean, it's oppressive in the sense of it's no fun, It's not interactive, and it has a great win rate, and it's everywhere. So it seems to hit every single checkpoint that would look into getting it taken care of. But again, that was Nexus for a while, right? Like, can't
Yeah,
you argue that Nexus was the same thing?
same thing. The
Um,
the big like, and somebody brings up in chat a good point. During Innistrad days, there was a blue-black control deck that used a land called Nephalia Drownyard to mill 3. It was pay
yeah,
3, tap it, mill 3, and it was just a pure control deck that eventually killed you by milling you. The difference between something like Nexus and something like the blue black mill deck from Innistrad and all these sort of you can even bring up Sphinx's control from not original Ravnica but Return to Ravnica, which use Sphinx's Revelation and Elixir of Immortality to just never run out of cards or life. Eventually, like, yeah, you can't kill me ever. The thing with all of these is they require cards to be played, mana to be paid, and some sort of interaction from one player to the next. Blue Black Mill had to remove stuff from the board in order to control the game to mill you out. Sphinx's Revelation had to, at least piece those things together and hold up mana, to gain life, draw cards, and eventually reach that late game where they can cycle everything over and over. Nexus again required Wilderness Reclamation, it required Tameo, it required Search for Escanta, as well as finding your first 2 Nexus. So they required something. This is literally just play your lands. Like,
yeah.
get Field of the Dead through either Golos or just sheer luck of drawing it. And once it's in play, fucking draw a card every turn. Nobody cares.
What's the standard land count in a Golos field deck? Is it like 28?
I think it's up to 30 now.
I was gonna say, because there's no reason not to play that many lands for the sheer fact that you're turning 30 of your cards into generate tokens.
Yeah.
So for free. So it's like
it's 29 according to chat.
Okay, but that's still way above curve because if you're playing a standard mid-range deck, you're looking at about 24 to 25 lands. Control might push it to 26, maybe 27. 29 for that is obscene. It just seems crazy. And it's not like they're playing hyper control. They're just playing, all right, I'm going to ramp, get as much lands out, and then at the end of the day, I'm just chump blocking a crap ton of dudes. And the ones you can't punch through, I'm sending right back at your face.
Yeah. And like you can bring up the other. Technically, there was a different version of this deck a while ago called Volakut that used the land that whenever a mountain came to play, if you had 5 of them, it shot something for 3. Volakut wasn't nearly as bad as this was, even though it kind of does the exact same thing. And I don't know, maybe if it was because like during the time there were other things that were, good enough. Or, maybe we just didn't bitch enough. I don't know, what the difference is necessarily between the two of them, but playing against Field of the Dead just feels bad. I don't know what to really put like my finger on with it.
Well, I guess we're gonna find out soon. I guess in 10 days or so when they actually drop the announcement. I wouldn't be upset because it's a card that I'm not interested in playing because I don't like that type of gameplay. It's the same reason why I never liked. It's the same reason why I never liked playing those types of, like fog decks or whatnot, where it's just set up your planeswalkers, get your win condition, loop it out. Like for instance, a Kethis combo deck. To me, that's just a game of solitaire and playing against the clock. Not interested. No, thank you. That to me is work. It's not enjoyable. Like it's a job. It's literally a job. It's like, all right. Here's the deck and see if you can do it in this time. If you do, congratulations, here's your paycheck. Do it again. Like
I look at more like a deck like Kethis combo, or like I'm playing Fires, the Jeskai Fires right now. They're puzzle pieces, right? Where you're trying to fit a number of things together in a specific order to win the game without dying.
Mm-hmm.
And everything kind of pushes you towards that goal, whereas and you're under pressure because as long as you're playing things that push towards this goal, right? Like I'm playing draw spells for Fires. I'm playing these awkward like 4 and 5 mana cards that I can't really cast, just to hope to get Fires in play. And if Fires gets killed, which it's very easy to get killed because it's a random 4 mana enchantment, like then I kind of fall back a bit, right? Like I stumble with Field of the Dead, once it's in, fucking in. Like,
Yeah.
there's even, obviously, yes, you could play Demolish, you could play Bedeck Bedazzle, whatever the fuck a card's called.
Agent of Treachery.
Yeah, you could play Agent of Treachery and pick it back up or steal it. Like, yeah, there's a number of things you could play, but like, do any of those push a game plan outside of I need to beat Field of the Dead? Not really.
Not really, unless you have to tech against it at that point. And you have to tech heavily. Also, shout out to the dude I played today who was playing Fires of Invention.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was
great.
playing Fires of Invention, dropped Nicol Bolas, started BMing me. And when I played my Agent of Treachery to steal his Fires of Invention, he laughed and kept BMing me, thinking I made the wrong choice. I say laughed, but he kept dropping the oops.
Sure.
And then when he was tapped out, I had to ferry down. I bounced my Agent of Treachery, and then mass manipulated all his planeswalkers, and then beat him.
Nice.
Which was amazing. It was the best thing ever. It was absolutely the best thing ever.
Great feeling.
Oh, it was great because I oopsed when he conceded, and it was by far my favorite win of the week.
Lesson to everybody out there: just turn off your emotes.
No, because I want to know who the assholes are. That's the thing. I'm not the asshole. I don't emote. But if you're gonna emote, I want to know that you're an asshole so that if I come back to beat you, I can just shove it right back into your stupid face. That's my joy. It's like one of those memes. The sex is great and all, but have you ever beaten someone after they've well played you before the game's over? Like, yes. That's kind of that's that feeling. I want to know who the fucking jerk offs are so that when I do come back to beat you, it is a sweet and juicy victory that I can take to my fucking bed and just cuddle at night. That's what I want.
Nice. Yeah, we'll get you a body pillow with well played printed on it, and just
exactly. Oops. It's like, fucking oops.
But yeah, like there is and chat brings up a good point. There's a fear, I guess, or a concern that if, say, Field of the Dead does get banned on the 21st, how do you stop Oko Teferi Nissa?
I have no idea because that's what I'm running and it's amazing.
Like, you can't really.
It's the Gilded Goose Oko kind of ramp into loose. Nissa. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And holy Moses, let's just keep doing it because it's so damn good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know that people are going to get upset. I just say it because I play it now. So
I have a ton of fun doing like the fires into random Cavalier into just kill you. Because you get to go Red Cavalier into like either Kenrith or Niv Mizzet and just 21 the face.
But those things are out there. Like, those combos are out there.
They are, people
are innovating and trying them out and are good enough players that you can actually pilot them correctly. But
I just think there needs to be some sort of shakeup, or like, I understand it's week 2. Or 3 or whatever. Like, has the meta been figured out? No, of course not. People are still playing other things, and every now and then I run into the fucking cat cauldron bullshit that just I just die slowly because the stupid familiar plus witch's oven sit there and one ya.
Yeah.
It's fine that those things are out there, but I think it's every time I'm up against Field of the Dead, I just feel bad. I feel bad winning. I feel bad losing, both ways, and that's never the situation you want in a card game, right?
Well, yeah, because the experience, if the journey is enjoyable, you don't necessarily care that you lost. Like, I can play a really good match, lose, and be like, all right, well, fuck, like that was enjoyable. That was good. That like bent your brain a bit, it kind of worked the gears.
Yeah.
But when I lose to something that I know how it operates and I know because I've seen it and it's not that hard. I mean, let's just be honest, like Bant ramp into like an Oko, Nissa, that kind of thing. It's fucking like what's what is the difference from? It's one of those decks where no matter what you're playing against, your game plan is the same. I want to play a goose or some type of ramp on turn 1. On turn 2, I want to get out Oko on turn Oko or Teferi. And on the next turn, if everything goes well, I could potentially get out a turn 3 Nissa, and then it's just fucking cruise. Play my gigantic Hydroid Craces when I can, and then fly over top and just have card advantage, have life advantage, have planeswalker presence, and have board control. Like that's essentially it.
The difference is like yes, if the Bant like 3-mana planeswalker plan all goes correctly, you know, turn 1 on the play, turn 1 Goose, turn 2 Oko, Nissa, like all that good shit. The thing is, I can interact with those things. I can counter your Teferi or Oko. I can bolt your Goose. I can kill Nissa. You know, I can board clear you. And you can't just fucking play a couple more lands and here's another 7 2/2s. Like, you know, I can stop you in some way. I can halt your progress. I can slow you down. You know, I think that's the big difference. And I think the fear of that being too good is kind of misplaced, because that can have some counterplay, that can have some sort of interaction, or somebody can go, okay, I need to start playing some counter spells or something, because, you know, the fairy obviously turns the game into fucking Hearthstone, and Nissa is really strong when she hits play, you know, that type of stuff, but at least you can do something about it. I don't know.
So what's your prediction on the ban?
I say Field of the Dead.
Just that? Nothing else?
Yeah, just Field. I can only speak for Standard. I don't know about those other weird formats, like Modern and Legacy.
but is it going to be only best of 1 or the whole?
I would put. I think it's almost a guarantee that Field of the Dead gets banned best of 1, like Nexus did. The ban in total of Field of the Dead, I think, depends on how well it does at the MC.
Okay. Because it's completely possible that it just takes like 6 out of the 8 spots.
Oh, absolutely.
Top 8.
Absolutely.
And that to me is enough. It's actually interesting because we were talking about this last podcast when we were talking about what win percentage warrants a hard look at getting a ban, and you said 55% is already something that requires like immediate attention or analysis. So in Mythgard, the developers released last week, they released statistics. They're like, so in Mythgard, imagine it like there's a quote unquote hero power, like from Hearthstone or whatnot.
I've played the game a bit, yeah.
Okay, so it's your path, and the path is essentially something that complements your deck build. Be it if your deck revolves around a lot of swarm and creatures, there's a path that can get you creatures back from the graveyard fairly quickly. If it's a deck that involves a lot of enchantments and upgrades in that regard, there's a path that can help you with that. Anyways, so there's 5 paths. And what they did was they released the win rates of overall, going first, and going second. And there was one that had it. I think it had an overall win rate of about 58%. An overall win rate of 58%, and it was something stupid like 59 or 60% going first, and whatever else it was going second. Like, you know, like a 56% going second. And then there was other ones that had 53% going first and 40% going second. It was just obscene. And then they released a patch and didn't change any of them. And we're like, ooh, okay, like this is a little spicy. But I mean, a lot of it is just because the game just came into a beta recently, and unlocking paths is something that you do as you progress through the game. Yeah. So you still have to wait a bit for people to get familiar with them. But I thought that was very interesting, that there's an actual path that people play with that has an overall win rate of like 58%, and it just did not get addressed.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because like you know, the devs of Mythgard have to decide then at what point, like what constitutes getting looked at, right?
Yeah.
Like we're talking, you know, almost 60% on the play. In, well, I'm assuming they're just best of 1, right? There's no like best of 3 or anything. is this, does it become a problem? And obviously, if they're like, well, let's see what happens, over time. So they gotta decide on that point. But the good thing about digital games is they don't have to ban it. They can just
No.
go, we'll make it cost 4 instead of 3, and see what happens, or whatever it costs there. Similar to how Hearthstone handles their shit, or Eternal handles their stuff. Um, but
I've been lobbying for their because their esports is still sort of shaping up, and besides actual format or rather besides actual dates, prizes, tournament structure, etc., I've been having conversations with people about how they should run their tournaments. It's like, is it one deck, multiple decks? And the cool part about this is there's no factions or classes like Hearthstone or Gwent or whatnot. It's like Magic, where you have the whole sandbox, bring a deck, go nuts. And I've been butting heads with people about the inclusion of a sideboard. And some people said, you don't need a sideboard, just build the deck correctly. I said, well, no. I mean,
just win,
yeah,
idiot.
Well, that's it. I mean, in Magic, there's so many cards that you kind of need a broader sideboard. But I suggested, I'm like, there's no reason why you should not have a 5 to 7 card sideboard and play a best of 3. And I think that'd be great, because there's enough strategies and deck archetypes out there that you might tech against one that you're weak against, but putting in 3 or 4 cards to beat that doesn't mean that you're not going to lose to any of the other 4 or 5 strategies out there. I mean, I don't know how much you've played the game, but in a game where you don't have any deck building restrictions, you can just take all the cards, mash them together however you want. I feel like wouldn't that not be the best way to do it? Is just implement a small sideboard and just go best of 3 with one deck?
Like, it kind of depends, right? Because the reason why like Magic uses a sideboard is because the answers are super narrow, right? All the answers are very, very narrow, and they all fill a very specific role. Something like a demolish to destroy a land, or unmoored ego to hit, a Field of Dead or Nexus of Fate or whatever. They serve very, very, very small purposes. In a game like Mythgard, or how narrow are your options? They're probably not very narrow at all. And if you're playing a deck that you lose to, 2 different enchantments or whatever, or 2 different deck archetypes, if you just split your board 50-50, one to beat that deck and the other to beat the other deck, do you ever lose? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So you got to be careful. I was a huge advocate for a 5-card sideboard in Hearthstone early on. When I was running tournaments, I started running tournaments with a 5-card sideboard. I said, you gotta submit 2 lists to me, one of your base deck and then one of 5. We'll play best 3, and you can swap out cards as needed. And it felt better, because in those types of games, you would lose to 1 card. It just happens to be in your opponent's main deck. You're like, fuck, I can't get through a 3/5.
Right.
A 3/5 taunt creature, like, that just kills me. Nothing I can do about it. But then you put, a silence card in your sideboard because you don't want to run silence in your main, and suddenly now you got a game, and now it's a little more interactive. So I'm all for sideboards. Obviously, like, Hearthstone never went with that. They went with, what is it called now? The Specialist?
It's Conquest or something like that. Oh, I'm not sure how that goes. I don't know what their latest tournament format is. Like Specialist?
I think it's called Specialist, where you pick a class, and you build 3 different decks of that class.
Oh.
And then that's how you play.
That's pretty damn cool, actually.
Specialist lasted 1 tournament. It died again. Well, there you go.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can see that as it's definitely different. As in, I mean, like, Hunter can play in so many ways. You can play a control hunter, a spell hunter, a mid-range hunter, a death rattle
all
hunter.
Face all day.
Well, right. When your hero power says you have 15 turns to live, essentially, it's kind of like that. It's just putting your pressure on the back of their necks the whole game. But damn, like, I kind of like how that goes. I think that would be a really interesting way to play it, like 3 decks of the same, but that has a class association. Like, Magic doesn't have a class.
No.
I would love to see a Magic tournament where it was like mono Magic tournament, where it's all right, like, you are black, you are white, you are green, you are red, and and you are blue, and like that's kind of how it went, where it's you only have that pool to go with. Now,
Mhm.
obviously, I'm sure there's going to be some decks that are a little bit worse than others, but frankly, I think right now every single color has a strong mono variant to it that is pretty good. Maybe not mono blue
Yeah,
anymore.
mono blue anymore. They lost some of their power. They got to add a little green in there now.
Yeah, but I mean, as soon as you have a class association, you kind of have to either be broader in the sense that you play a conquest with bring four different leaders and have a best of three conquest or whatever, but
Yeah.
or all three go through. But anyway, that's kind of how that goes. But either way, I was just something to throw out there because I really am a fan of sideboarding, and I like what the point that you made about narrow answers, because the situations are very narrow because there's
Right.
so many different card types and so many different things that could fuck you over. I don't think Mythgard has that right now. I think it would be something interesting where it was a 3 guard sideboard at best of 3, where keep it very limited so you're not completely shitting on people, but at the same time, decks are 40 cards, not like, and there's very few card draw options.
Yeah.
So you're going to be a little bit more limited into finding those answers. But still, it was just something that I was kind of playing around with. But I
So
mean,
like, there's another game, Eternal, that their sideboard is in the game, right? They have essentially a wish board. I think it's called the Market. In game, that there are cards that say when it comes into play, you may exchange a card from your hand for one from your market.
okay.
So if you have a dead ass card in your hand, you're playing against an aggro deck, but you have one board clear in your market. You go, oh shit! All right, let me swap out this card for this board clear. Boom, we got the board clear. We got the game back. Um, they took that, which when it was announced, I was like, oh, that's a really cool idea. Like having wish boards and sideboards in the game, that's great. And then it just went fucking, like, they went mental with it. Now there's like 2 different markets, and there's like 8,000 different ways to get cards from your market. And and the merchants that get cards from the market are like better than regular units,
Yeah.
which was like, why? These things are supposed to be narrow, but no, it's I have a 2/3 double striker for 2 that swaps a card out from my wish board.
It's like, okay.
Why?
That seems like, yeah, that seems a little bit over the top, right? And then
uh,
you have the Fae of Wishes now, is a really cool card.
that card should not have been made.
That's the one where you just go and fish out any card from your sideboard, right?
Well, yeah, we had Mastermind's Acquisition before, right? Which was a wish card.
Yeah, but that was a 4 mana.
Well, the Fae is 4 mana too.
Right, but okay, I see it. But you also have a body attached to it. I hate digging into sideboards when you shouldn't be digging into sideboards.
The it, it's I love wish boards. I think wish boards are great. They allow for like um decks to be played that normally wouldn't be able to make it, right? Like these Fires of Invention decks where I'm playing Nicol Bolas, right? But I have a plane wide celebration in my sideboard to just instantly win the game, if I can ever get to that point to do it. I think that's kind of cool. The issue is that Mastermind's Acquisition, you were forced to go down a windy road in order to get it back into your hand. Fae of Wishes just bounces itself back to your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So you just constantly reuse this card as long as you're just discarding 2 cards to it. So you just have a wish that you can use at any point. And yeah, the fact that it's a 1 for 2 is kind of odd. It is just a weird card that's made. Like,
Yeah,
how did this get through?
there's a lot of cards that from the set which are like, damn, like, is that like I just
Questing
did.
Beast.
Well, that exactly what I was gonna say is I gave it a good look the other day because again I was really out of touch with this set. I hadn't played Magic in a few weeks. I was really focusing on other games, and then when I sat down yesterday, I was like, I really want to play. Like I did a tournament with Alias and her husband. It was that team sealed.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, so we ended up finishing second, which was awesome. Out of I don't know how many teams. There was like 9 or 10 teams, but we did pretty well. And I was just itching for more Magic, so I loaded it up and I was like, let's just see what's out there. I want to see. I opened my packs, I spent my currency and all that stuff, and I'm just looking at stuff. I'm like, well, I want to make a green and blue, and took a look. I was like, what are the mythics in green? I keep hearing about questing beast. So I took a look and I was like, holy shit, this has everything. This thing's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what is it? Haste, Death Touch. Does it have what else does it have? Haste, Death Touch.
Haste, Death Touch, Vigilance.
Yes,
and
haste,
then
Death Touch, and when it connects to face, it deals equal damage to a planeswalker.
also cannot be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less.
Yeah, so suck my dick. It's insane because you have a fucking Gilded Goose to get it out early, and they probably might not have anything that could even deal with it. So they're either chumping a minion to it every time. By the time they get something out, you have a plenty of board presence. Like, it's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. But it's ridiculous.
I love the cartoon that was posted to Twitter. It was like a cartoon of the 3 heads of the beast, and one was like, we have vigilance. The other was like, we got haste. And the third was like, smork.
Oh yeah, there's the one dumb one, the one stupid,
the one dumb head. It's just like, yeah, go face.
Oh god. Well, I mean, these are great cards, and I think that every color kind of got something big, bad, and nasty. And yeah, I mean, I just looked at the price chart for a lot of the cards. I'm like, okay, Oko on top, and looking down, I'm like, oh man, Questing Beast. Let's take a look at this bad boy. I'm like, holy shit balls.
What's it at?
It's so good. I don't know if it's a main board worthy card for like a multicolored deck, but in a mono green, you have to put that every time. No, like, it's just so good.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's better than was it Ceraton?
Ceratops?
Ceratops, whatever the fuck that card, whatever dinosaur that thing is.
Yeah, the
I think
5/4
it's better than
can't
that
be
card.
countered.
Yeah, I think Ceratops is more of a sideboard card, and Vigilance Beast is definitely or Vigilance Beast, Questing Beast,
Questing Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste Beast. Yes.
Yeah, that card. I think that's definitely a main board card for sure. You know, because the whole point of these green decks is turn 1 Goose, turn 2 possibly another mana ramp card, whatever. And then you go from 4 to 5, and you go. Whether it's Questing Beast or Nissa or Hydroid Crassus.
Good card. Good cards everywhere. Love them.
Again, those cards can be interactive. I can kill a Questing Beast.
Yes, but you can Treachery. Agent of Treachery is a field of ruin.
Fuck off.
I know that's a soft point. That's a soft spot. I'm sorry, buddy.
It's fine. I'll get over it. I'll go drink some salt. So in other news, a bunch of stuff was announced this week for a matter of card games. Eternal. I got to give Eternal a couple of shout outs here, I guess. They released on Switch, which is impressive.
Oh, cool. That is pretty cool.
Their new expansion, I believe, is out and playable right now. I haven't heard much about it. My Twitter feed has been mainly complaining about things, but I've seen a few things about Eternal on there. Chat is saying it's great. The chat being the one Eternal player. And then Magic announced a few things. One, there is now something called Unsanctioned, which, if you've ever played any of the Unglued, Unhinged, or Unstable sets, they're silver bordered cards. And so Unsanctioned is going to be its own, like, I guess, format with pre-constructed decks built to play silver bordered cards. That's kind of cool that they're doing something with that, because most of the time the unsets were printed so that we could get these super cool alternate art lands that were way too expensive for anybody to like reasonably buy.
Yeah.
So that's cool. They announced the release dates for Return to Theros, along with what is now, I guess, confirmed as Ikoria. Not Ikoria, it's Ikoria. And so Return to Theros is January 24th, and then Ikoria is April 21st, I believe, the release dates for those. So.
Okay, so we still got, we got plenty of time. We got a whole Christmas season to continue to slam Eldraine.
Yes. Along with I believe they called it a mystery pack. Did you see this?
Oh, okay. So this mystery pack, I only saw someone tweet about it where it was basically, oh, if anybody's going to this thing, you'll have the first shot at this I don't know if it's a mystery pack or a mystery product. Like it's gonna have a different name. Is it called mystery pack?
I
Like,
think it's called mystery pack.
okay. I have no idea how they're gonna squeeze more money out of us and try to fool us in different ways, but apparently I am very intrigued and ready to spend money.
I like I have I, I really wonder like if this is just like Wizards going shit. We have a lot of like random products sitting around.
Yeah.
So let's repackage it and just send it out there.
But
Like
at this point, can you even justify spending like if a standard pack? So a standard pack here is like $4 Canadian,
Sure.
more or less. Could you justify even charging $3 for a mystery pack?
Depends on what's in it.
Well, this is the other thing about it, because what if it goes all the way back to who knows how far back it's going to go? Like that's the only. But Jesus Christ, stop! They're so evil. They're so fun. Remember I was
I'm
telling
just
you about how
saying.
there's again guys in his car, fucking dude next to him. He's like, all right, so imagine this. You know how there's like a fucking warehouse full of shit that we don't have? Okay, now I hold on a second. Hold on a second. What if we took all that shit that we can't sell, add in like 10% of shit that already sells, and we just fucking call it a mystery box? I know, right? I know. And then that's basically how that car ride ran.
So-
And again, it's a fucking Mazda Miata, and they're listening to S Club 7, and I see their haircuts right now.
So if you ever go to a big box store like Target or Walmart or whatever, you go to their card section. Now those sections aren't run actually by like Target or Walmart. They're a private company that fills it. But they have like the repackaging boxes where it shows like a foil random card up front, and it's like
Yeah.
$29.99. You get 100 random cards. Like, I think
Yes.
this is Wizards going, we're gonna get that money. Like that is our money we are losing. Let's repackage a bunch of shit and and sell it in stores. Like I think the big question is gonna be, are they gonna put like actually like super rare boxes, dual lands? Like, are these gonna be randomly placed in these packs just to like create a hype of like, oh shit, I bought a mystery pack and I got fucking Mox, Mox Jet or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll fucking be gone off the shelf instantly.
100%. And what I think about when I think about how this could really be enticing is if they were first of all, to speak to your point about like Target and whatever having these like repacks, they do that at the dollar stores here, by the way. I don't know if you knew that, but they have these repacks where there's again a third party company which has immense amounts of collections of, I guess, bulk cards. They're like $1.25 for, I think it's like 15 cards, and it's just it's always like a fucking penny rare and a whole bunch of garbage into these packs, and they sell them. Or you can spend $4 and get a bulk of 100 with like 3 or 4 rares in them. But yeah, and like, but the thing about it is that when you see it, I'm like, do I get it? It's right there. It's this thrill of opening a pack, and it's going to be some. And of course not, because the price, like the total cumulative value of those 15 cards is probably a nickel. So I'm not doing it. But if they sell these mystery packs as like 36, like big fat packs, like 30 cards per pack or something like that, there's like, and in it, it's like 1 mythic, two rares, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and it can stretch as far back. Imagine it was just everything modern legal, and it's like it's all of modern.
That's another thing I saw, like somebody speculating, was that these mystery packs are a way for them to get around doing another Modern Horizons or another Masters set. That this will now replace Master sets in the future, where they can just throw in a bunch of modern playable shit into these repacks. Just go, here you go. Like, we will no longer print Master sets, but you can buy a mystery pack, and maybe you'll open up a Snapcaster Mage, or maybe you'll open up Hogak and get fucked. I don't know.
Did they say that they're not doing any more master sets, right? They said that the Ultimate Masters was like that's it. It's over.
Right. That Modern Horizons would be basically a replacement for Modern Masters, and they would not do master sets anymore.
So I mean, like, I guess you could say that. Like, it's just, I wonder if they just have this massive bulk of cards that are just, they don't know how to get rid of them. Like, they can sell them off as singles or whatever and play the market, but maybe the best way to do it is just to package them, because it's not a matter of getting rid of the cards that are useful. It's a matter of getting rid of the cards that no one's going to play. So
Right.
you have to take those good cards, put them, neck and neck with another 14 shitty cards that no one's going to play, and put it in a pack, and then insert it into a box where 2 of the 36 packs are going to be fucking ace jaw, like awesome cards, and the rest is just going to be filler, and then adios, goodbye. Because I can see these mystery packs being sold in boxes, like standard booster boxes or whatnot, and flying off the fucking shelf. Because imagine the draft potential for this. The drafting protects the sealed, like the limited competition for this is going to be insane. And I
people
think
already
that
love Chaos Draft, right? Chaos Draft is a huge thing.
And this would be, it's like the actual pack itself is chaos, because you're getting cards from every single set. So I see the appeal. I think it's awesome. I think it's going to catch a few people off guard. Like, this to me is something where you buy a box and you split it with a few people and you're like, we're having draft night with this and it's going to be great. And I think that LGSs are going to go crazy with these events and it's going to be great. But again, this is all assuming that what our interpretation of it is correct, which who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I want to play Flip It or Rip It with a mystery pack. Don't do it.
Don't do it. All right.
Don't do Flip It or Rip It. But to answer a question in chat about reprinting Power 9, right. Power 9, the restricted list essentially says that Wizards will not reprint anything on the restricted list. They will not reprint it word for word or the actual card. Now they can print something that's similar to it. Shock lands or dual lands that just are slightly different. I believe the Pegasus that's on there was printed just under a different name, but exactly like word for word, including stat wise. But Wizards does have a stockpile of Power 9 and dual lands and all this shit. They have plenty of it around. Because we know that from the Zendikar treasure packs that they were slipping Power 9 into packs. Like, people open dual lands and Power and Moxes and Lotuses out of these, first printing Zendikar boosters. So that's around over there. They have a vault. So they very well could have these mystery packs and have sent, a good chunk of their vault off to get packed into these boxes. And who knows? As soon as that shit hits a shelf, a video is going to hit the internet of, is mystery boxes worth it? Here's opening 36 packs and what I got.
So dropping the EV, translation of it, etc.
Right.
But you know what? Even if that, I mean, because there's people who do the actual math of breaking it down, and here's your average value per pack and per box and per case, etc., etc., etc. So where they're like, okay, well, if you open a case of it, you might make $100 over what you paid for it, yada yada yada.
Right.
And everything below that is a gamble. But it's gonna take one person posting a video of saying, "Holy shit, I got a
I opened a Lotus.
Yeah, a volcanic island out of this, or fucking who knows what." It's like, okay. Suddenly, I'm more interested in buying boxes and cases, because it's not just a matter of the EV is plus 100 for a case. It's the fact that it's EV plus 100 with X amount of chances at opening an actual bomb. So,
and of course, this is all speculation. We have no fucking clue what's in a mystery pack. We have no idea what it's supposed to be. It was just announced on Magic TV like 2 or 3 days ago. And I believe, is it Richmond? Or whatever the next like Magic Fest is at, is where they will be. To get your hands on one of these mystery packs. So we'll know as soon as they hit the internet, like, what's in these things. I'm assuming it's just a bunch of crap from Modern. Anything else in the card game world? Before we get to that,
Yeah.
Expansion wise or product wise,
Um,
anything like that?
I mean, in terms of actual, I mean, let's see. There's not a whole lot, at least of what I'm sort of very linked to. The only thing I will say is that there have been a lot of streamers that have been and big, excuse me, card players. People like Noxious, Jeff Hoogland, Mogwai recently, Admirable. People like that have been jumping onto the Mythgard bandwagon, which is kind of cool. Like if ever you needed any reason, and I again, like I say, I just really love the game and I want to see more people playing it. So I talk about it a lot. I'm not paid by them in any way. I don't work for them, and
Accepting
neither have.
sponsorships, by the way.
Correct. I always expecting sponsorships from anybody. It does not matter. I do not care who you are. Send us a check and we will definitely wear your shirt. But Jeff Hoogland, Noxious, Mogwai, Admirable, people like that have jumped onto the game unsponsored and have been very adamant about explaining that, like, I am playing this unsponsored because I think it's that good. So that's, I guess, that's like a slightly newsworthy, and the fact that there are big names that are playing it because they enjoy it, where
Yeah.
they're kind of sacrificing that viewership from whatever their standard niche is, like be it Magic or whatever else, to jump onto a game, sacrificing viewership obviously because people sometimes don't want to watch if it's not the game, but playing it because they believe in the game and they're very very much enjoying the gameplay. So I mean, to answer the question in chat, is Mythgard more like Hearthstone or Magic? It's a very interesting mix of the two. Whereas Hearthstone has the deck building limitations of neutral or whatever class. Mythgard does not have that. You can build a deck out of anything you want. The combat system is very Hearthstone like. However, there's lane placements, so strategy in that regard. However, from a Magic perspective, mana system and color is something that is much like Magic. However, the land screw is never there. I think that they've done a good job of actually fixing that. So I'm not going to go too much into it. I mean, if you want to check out my YouTube channel, I do have a tutorial up there, an 11-minute tutorial video if you guys want to check out the basics. So
yeah, I did play the beta of it. Sorry, I guess the alpha.
Alpha, I guess, yeah.
And they did seem to solve a lot of like the complaints that people had with each little game, right? Like people hate the land screw out of Magic, so we're gonna burn cards instead of playing lands. People don't like the class restrictions out of Hearthstone, but they like the hero power system, so we're gonna bring that over. If you've ever played an old game called Soul Forge, was a lane based card game, but that combat was automatic, whereas in Mythgard it is not automatic, but it is in stages like Hearthstone is. So in Hearthstone you can attack with one creature, play something, attack with another one. You can do the same thing in Mythgard. There's no like attack phase or anything like that. So I urge you guys, if any of that sounds somewhat interesting or refreshing, definitely check out Flake's YouTube or Twitch. Watch some gameplay of Mythgard, and it's free to download. You can give it a shot.
Yeah, man. If you like it, contact me. I have codes to give you a crap ton of free packs. So I've got stuff to hook you up.
But yeah, so that's an interesting one that's kind of coming up, and definitely interested to see where they go from here. But I guess we can jump on onto the minefield that is Hearthstone right now. I don't even know how to tackle this.
Okay, so the best way to approach this, because I know that we discussed this earlier about how we have to be careful about this. The best way to approach this is the fact that this is a very touchy subject, and as a PSA, we're going to be very careful about how we approach it. But at the same time, I think Frosty and I are the types that are very, we're very passionate about our beliefs and our convictions, and we're not the types that will sell out to a sponsor if they want to sponsor this. But I mean, in general, we're very, very tight with what we believe, but at the same time, we're also cautious and smart people.
Yeah, basically, we will not get into the politics of the situation, but recently, this past weekend, a Hearthstone tournament. I believe it took place in Taiwan, right?
If I'm not mistaken,
Chat can
yes,
correct me
I
on that, but
could
I'm
be wrong.
pretty sure it happened in Taiwan. Obviously, it's a Hearthstone tournament, so it happens like on the
Right.
internet. But it was Grandmaster, so it was online. Um, and a player from Hong Kong won. Now, if you've been living under a rock for the past couple months, I'm sorry. But Hong Kong is in a lot of turmoil right now, and there's a lot of shit going on over there. I urge you, please go research it as to what's going on. But at the end of the tournament, a player from Hong Kong won. The winner got an interview, and during this interview, he pretty much spoke about the stuff happening in Hong Kong and his basically whatever their I don't want to paraphrase it, but their revolution phrase that they say over there. And in response to this, Blizzard bans him for a year, fires the casters for a year, and revokes all of his prize money that he's won over the course of his Grandmasters tournament. Fucking immediate backlash. Obviously.
Like the most like instant whiplash from the community of not just uh CCGs, not just gaming. It was essentially like media outlets were picking this up, like
Right.
Fox News discussed it and stuff like that. And, it was being actually picked up by numerous major media outlets to actually discuss just not just the backlash and the outrage, but also the, the corporate implications of it,
Right.
the.
So to give a little bit of background on it, there is a media company named Tencent who own a number of industries, right? Or portions of industries. They own 100% of Riot Games. They own 5% of Activision Blizzard. They own, I believe it's 49% of Epic Games. A portion of a number of other, I believe it's 5% of Ubisoft as well. Like they're everywhere. They're shareholders in a number of companies, and so there was a very clear implication that Blizzard was making an example of Blitzchung. Blitzchung is the name of this Hearthstone player. It felt like they were making an example of him. Like you spoke out against the government in China, and Tencent is a Chinese media company that is, I'm pretty sure it's owned by the government over there too. So, if you're trying to like not do this, like you're trying to like, we're not making a statement. We're just, this player broke the rules, which of course he did break the rules. So, he's gonna get his suspension. You did it in the most obvious, like, like this is not a slap on the wrist. This was not a like you broke the rules. Here's your suspension. That's a you made a statement that we don't agree with. Fucking hammer. And it made it worse because the next day, during another Hearthstone tournament, it was the collegiate tournament, an American university held up a sign that said "Free Hong Kong." The feed was cut immediately from it. Like they immediately cut the cameras, they cut the game. Like they just focused on the other team instead, because they didn't want to show that banner. Nothing happened to them. Nothing. No suspension, no statement, no fucking nothing. They said nothing. So not like now you're doubling down on this. Like
Yeah.
And so the American university dropped out of the tournament. They said Blizzard's being hypocritical. We're not going to support this shit. A number of streamers and casters, including Brian Kibler and Admirable, Kriparian made another statement. A number of statements saying that they can't support this. There's a huge amount of shit on Twitter to the point where Blizzard locked the ability to delete your account. So if you went into BattleNet and tried to delete your account, it wouldn't let you. They stopped it. They locked it. Like
Which is I mean, that to me is it comes off to me. It's like, well, you're gonna regret this, so like hold off and like chill out, children. You know, like we're gonna save you from yourselves. When in reality, I think that the gaming community is a little smarter than that, and a lot of it is it's one of those things where Blizzard has been sort of flinging peas at you from across the table constantly, and you're like, "Fuck, all right, fine. Like, I'm still gonna eat here. The food's still like this food is still so good." And they're flinging peas at you. They're flinging peas, and eventually they fucking just throw a folding chair at your fucking skull, and you're like, "Fuck this!" And you get up and you leave. But instead of leaving, they lock the door. They're like, "No, you're fine. The bleeding will subside.
Yeah.
Relax.
Well,
Come, the food's still good."
it was probably because so many people were, obviously chat is saying, well, it's because they didn't remove it. It was fraudulent prevention. Yes, the amount of people who were deleting their accounts in such a short period of time pretty much like triggered all of Blizzard's systems of like something's going on, so we can't like stop everything. Like, the amount of people that were deleting accounts suddenly was like, Blizzard's internal servers were like, well, hold on, something's wrong.
Yeah.
There's no way this amount of people could be that pissed off. Which, of course, Blizzard's wrong, obviously.
Correct.
And yeah, it was. I think Brian Kibler in his. I urge anybody go to Kibler's Twitter and read the statement he made, because it's everything I want to say all in one page. Where the handling of the situation is what was wrong. Blitzchung broke the rules. Suspension. Fine. It would be the same thing as if, like, you're a caster, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if at the end of a cast you said something about, what's his name, Trudeau, your guys' president. Like, you said something bad about him, like, you would get in trouble.
Right.
So it's not, it's not about anything, obviously, like, the suspension was expected, and it was very brave of Blitzchung to do that, to expect that, basically. But it was the heavy-handedness of it. It's just like what? Like a year? Both casters, and you're removing all of his winnings?
Like, it's the equivalent of, I mean, it's the thing about it is, and this is where it gets all screwy, is that it's a fact that he made a political statement in an area where he is obviously very familiar. It's not like me fucking yelling peace in the Middle East after a fucking Shadowverse tournament, Like, that's not the same. It's like, as much as I could be educated on the actual scenario there, it's a much deeper than that, because it's someone who's in the current fucking war zone. And again, if you are not familiar with what's going on over there, I urge you to go educate yourself. Exactly, because it's just obscene. Go on Reddit, and then it won't take more than one or two scrolls to actually see what the daily carnage is that's going on in Hong Kong. It's not just something that's been going on for a week or two. It's been going on essentially throughout the entire summer, and through the spring, probably
even before that. Like,
yeah. And anyways, long story short, it's a fact that it was a statement made. The casters knew it was coming. That's why they ducked under their tables. Like, what happened was, they said I think that, I don't exactly know the exact exchange, but the casters knew that he was going to make a statement relating to Hong Kong, so they ducked underneath the casting table so that they can distance themselves from that. Obviously not far enough, because they also got their heads cut off by Blizzard. The fact remains is that the statement that Blizzard made in relation to this is what actually set people off, which is essentially in very legalese. It says, no, we are going to continue to suck China's dick. It's essentially what they're saying. It's we have sided with the Chinese government over what is going on over there. And that, to me, along with the exorbitantly severe penalties, like, it's ridiculous. It's the equivalent of I don't know, jaywalking and getting executed. Like, that is the penalty to transgression equivalent that this is. Like, it's obscene, because it's not just a 1-year ban. It's not just forfeiture of the winnings of that tournament. It's fuck you for a year, and give us every fucking piece of money that we've given you
Yeah,
in
basically
the course of
revoking all Grandmasters winnings that he's had. Um, and yeah, the thing with the casters, it came out later that they knew it or were expecting it or something, but still, like the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Basically, is the
No.
what everybody's like kind of up in arms about. Very, you know, what's the term? My brain can't think right now, but they're not wrong in being up in arms about it. Um, and I don't blame anybody or anything for what Brian is doing and Admiral is doing and stepping down and stuff is great, for standing up for what they on. I don't blame those who are still streaming Hearthstone or still casting due to whether it's financial risk or whatever. Um, they're not trying to make a statement in of like, no, I don't believe it or whatever. It's like, sorry, it's my job. Like, I need to finish this contract that I signed, or risk further employment by literally anybody.
Yeah.
So it all around. Blizzard fucked up. Not the first time they've done this, of course. They definitely should not have instituted the punishment that they did. It should have been, what, one tournament, like a tournament suspension,
Right.
and then don't do that again. And then we'll go over that in a bit here. So that's everything kind of leading up into this. But before we move on to Blizzard's statement that they made here a little while ago, for those of you who play Magic or know of any people in Magic's circle, a player by the name of Li Shitian, who is a Hall of Famer, MPL player, also a Hong Kong resident, has made multiple political statements about what's going on in Hong Kong. He named a deck the Umbrella Revolution, like during his run to a top 8 in a tournament. Not fucking once did Wizards ever shut him up. They never punished him in any way. They never said, no, you can't say that. Like, they changed the deck name because that's what Wizards does. Like, the Wizards will not post, like, if I name a mono black control deck, BBC, like, big black control. Obviously, I don't know what you were thinking, chat.
I was thinking of the big bacon classic from Wendy's.
There you go. They're not going to post that online or in any media. They're going to call it mono black control, of course. So they didn't call his deck Umbrella Revolution. They called it what it was at the time, which was Jeskai, Jeskai Wins or whatever it was. But in his Hall of Fame speech, his acceptance speech, he talked about what's going on in Hong Kong. His Twitter is filled with this shit. Please go follow him and follow what's going over there. Wizards promotes him. Like, they don't shut him up. So that's like, you're talking about a giant drastic difference between the way the two companies handle it. And so that's why it's hard to sit here and go, yeah, he shouldn't have said that.
Right. And this all comes down to the fact of what is being fought for over here. It's not a matter of two different nations have a claim for the same land for whatever reasons. It's a matter of actual it's a fight for freedom of that particular populace, and it's a generic. I don't say generic. Generic's not the right word. It's an inalienable human right to want to be free and to want to live without that kind of oppression, and that's exactly what the struggle is going on over there, right?
What all started over a murder?
I don't know the minutia of the actual spark. Like, I don't know what the murder of the Archduke Ferdinand is in terms of World War I to this, like that one domino, right? But
the one push.
Well, that's that. So, but here it is, right? And here we're at a point where it's an actual fucking war zone. It's crazy, but it's not a matter of gray area. It's a matter of most of the fucking free world can see that there's this one oppressive force that is just crushing and murdering a populace that is uprising in order to gain its freedom. Now, the fact that and the NBA is fucking guilty of this too. Disney's guilty of this as well.
Yep.
There are, even to the degree where like Gwent card art is altered and Hearthstone card art is altered to fit the censorship of Chinese markets, like so that they can sell there under, you know, there's a massive amount of censorship that goes on just to make sure that those markets go fucking undisturbed and that you can actually have a foothold from an economic standpoint. The thing about it that fucking scares me, and this is where the balls on people like Kibler and That's Admirable and these people is because they got up there and they were very adamant about the fact that these are my ideals, these are my convictions, this is what I believe, and I am going to disassociate myself until this is rectified. So the statement that Kibler made was what Blitzchunk did was brave. What I believe is this, and I do not believe in the actions are fair. Therefore, I'm going to disassociate. The thing about that is that Kibler even alludes to it and talks about it, that whether Kibler casts another tournament with Hearthstone or not, it's not like he's going to be on the streets in a couple months because he's not collecting paychecks. Kibler is one of the most well-known CCG personalities in the world.
And most beautiful men in the world.
Yes, he is. And the thing about him is that he approaches every single scenario with a balanced head, a great amount of life experience, and a lot of decorum and diplomacy without actually sacrificing his values and his ideals. He is someone I respect and admire. And if I ever get to meet him, I hope that I can buy him a drink and just tell him what of a fucking awesome dude he is. I have met That's Admirable. I've done a tournament with That's Admirable. I've had dinner with him. I've hung out. He is one of the most amazing fucking people because his passion for card games is amazing. I did HCT Philadelphia in 2018 with him. And I remember this because he messaged me. We were supposed to go out for dinner at like 8:00 and it was like 6. And he messages me on Twitter and he's like, "What are you up to?" I said, "Nothing. Do you want to go grab a drink?" He's like, "Actually, is it cool if I just hang out in your room and play Hearthstone with you?" I'm like, fucking yes. So we hung out in my room and watched TV and played Hearthstone. It was like, that's all awesome. We did. And he's making the same statements.
Yeah.
He's saying, these are my convictions and I'm standing by my laurels on this. The thing about it is that for someone like myself, and same thing with like you or other people, is that we don't have that level of security and establishment. And I'm not saying this to belittle you because you're fucking light years ahead of anything that I wish I could be in terms of handsomeness.
Don't give me that
shit. But I have the day before the Hearthstone story break, I got offered a contract locally here to cast Overwatch tournaments. And I was so excited and I tweeted about it. I'm like, this is great. This is a great stepping stone for me to get into a whole different realm of everything. And then this happens. And then people are like, well, are you even going to do it? Are you going to do it? Like, it's Blizzard. You shouldn't fucking do that. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, are you a Nazi? I'm like, dude, first of all, I have to pay rent.
First of all, I'm Canadian.
Yeah. First of all, I'm Canadian. That should absolve me of many crimes. Second of all,
I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, but I'm like, I can't give up opportunities like this, even though they are. I mean, I'm not working for Blizzard in this case. I'm working for an event company, like an esports league here in Ontario. Shout out to oesl.ca. But still, like this is going to put some very, very awkward pressure on a lot of people who are this is their livelihood. This is their entire careers. The people who are casting these small tournaments in for Hearthstone or for Overwatch, etc. Like, what goes through their minds when they're like, I'm going to show up and people are going to think I'm a fucking sellout, that I'm this, that I have no fucking, whatever. But in reality, these paychecks are what pay our rent and put food in our fridge. Like that's
where I would say like take your anger and aim it at like the company, not the employees, not the streamers. I'm echoing exactly what like Brian Kibler wrote, but like don't direct it at the streamers or the casters or the players or the employees of the company or the community managers or the social media managers, any of them. Aim it at the fucking top, the company, those who made that decision, and leading, of course, into the statement that they made roughly 2 hours ago, whatever it was, that they're not reversing their decision. they're lowering the severity of their decision. Blitzchung and the two casters will be suspended for 6 months now instead of a year, and that they will be returning all of Blitzchung's money that he has earned to him, because in their words, he played fair, and so he deserves the money that he earned by playing fair. And then they end their statement with, I'm paraphrasing here, basically, shut the fuck up and just play the game. That's what they're saying,
Yeah.
and it's the exact same statement that Riot put out, of like, our game is for the community, and it's where everybody can just kind of basically a neutral zone, as it were. Well, newsflash: games aren't fucking neutral. As much as you want them to be, they're not.
Yeah.
You know,
This is
there's emotions and passion and care and community in these games that we play that go beyond just, attack you with a tutu. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well, that's true though. I mean, these games are not necessarily just places where you log in and you play for half an hour here or there or whatnot, and then you just completely disassociate it. This is where people actually create communities and have discussions and form bond. It's like anything else. It's like in the same regard that you go and you have a hockey team that you go play hockey
Right.
once a week, or a baseball team that you have practice on Tuesday, a game on Thursday, and then you guys go have a beer on Sundays and like it's still a community that you are very intimately linked with. Like, you go to bed sometimes thinking about it, you wake up, you have an idea, you go explore it and whatever. It's like, for instance, for Magic, like last night, like I was just thinking about it and I'm like, I really want to fucking play it, but I first want to go and see what all my friends are doing with it so that I can see what they're playing. I watch your streams, I watch other streams, I see what's going on. And then we've all come together. I would never know you if it wasn't for Magic. I would never know
Right.
a lot of people if it wasn't for Hearthstone or Gwent or Mythgard, etc. And that is something that I'm very intimate with. So first of all, the fact that they say, oh, we're giving him his money back because he won fair. Well, motherfucker, he won fair at the beginning. So why is it now that you guys have this giant fucking idea that, holy shit, he played fair? We didn't know that. No, you fucking knew it. So you guys are completely total rats about that too. So you have to backtrack and actually pump the brakes on your oh, we're giving him back. You're not giving it him back. It was his. You're literally stopping the theft of money that he earned
Right.
playing fairly. So that's complete horseshit. It's just the fact that it's like, we had pressure from outside sources about this entire situation. We bowed to every single one of their demands. And now that we're getting an equally wrathful pushback from an even bigger source of income for us, which is everybody else other than China. Well, now we have to appease you guys. So we're going to cut in the middle, cut the suspension in half, give him money back, and just hopefully this all blows over and you guys can overlook it. And I think that this is something that is going to start bleeding into everything that Blizzard does publicly for the rest of fucking time, until they do something drastic to sever this fucking crazy thing that they've got trailing them.
I
But
don't think
like,
they ever will.
BlizzCon when is BlizzCon? Like, it's in November, isn't it?
No, it's in like 2 weeks.
Okay, so yeah, so it's at the end of the month or whatever. And can you imagine?
Oh, BlizzCon's gonna be a shit show.
Oh my god, this is what I am. That, that gif of fucking Michael Jackson eating popcorn in the theater. Like, that's me, dude. I'm just like, I can't wait. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah,
It's
BlizzCon's
so
gonna be a giant shit show, which I empathize with the people who do go to BlizzCon because they really just love the games. You know what I mean? Like, I have a friend of mine who's it's his first time going to BlizzCon this year. He's never
Yeah.
been. He's always wanted to go, and he loves WoW. He plays the shit out of WoW, and it's like I empathize with him that he's worried not only for his safety, but just like if his experience of going to BlizzCon is going to be somewhat, I hate to use the word tarnished, but it's not going to be as if it could. It's not going to be the best it could have been because of this whole situation.
If your entire life's goal is to go to Disney World and you never could go as imagine, like, you can't go as a kid. So you went when you were like 25 years old, you saved up money and you went. And there's still a lot of joy to be had when you go.
Right.
And like I would still go to Disney World like now. They have a Star Wars
Sure.
fucking thing. Like I would go. But if I went there after wanting to go so much and the entire thing was just completely mired because Disney did something completely fucking stupid and it was just protesters and protesters and stupid
Right.
shit and protesters. Like, would it ruin it for me? Yeah, I don't think it would necessarily ruin it, but it would not be everything I want it to be. Because your friend who's going to BlizzCon probably has wanted to go to BlizzCon for a long time, and if
Sure.
he's dishing out a lot of money to go to BlizzCon because it's fucking expensive, it's because he really fucking loves World of
Right.
Warcraft, Hearthstone, StarCraft, whatever the fuck else, Diablo, all that shit.
I told him he should
Right?
probably stay away from the Hearthstone area.
Yeah, like just stay, but the entire like fucking compound is going to be at risk, right? Because it's just going to be a breeding ground. Well, I don't say breeding ground, but it's going to be a hot zone of people who are going to be shoving it right into their faces, and rightfully so. In my opinion, I think that
Oh
it's
yeah,
something that you have to do.
they're absolutely right in being angry. Like I will never tell anybody, no, you're wrong. Like for being upset at, you know, the situation that's going on. I'm angry about it. I fucking uninstalled BattleNet.
Yeah,
I'm never gonna play another Blizzard game again. Like besides the fact that I don't think the company is nearly as good as it used to be, and their games aren't as good as they used to be. But just shit like this, where it's just like they're tone deaf to
yeah,
everything. You know, from what you guys don't have phones to, you know, this very clear uh political thing that they're trying to make not political, but it makes it more. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
um, and again, like the nobody's really, very few people are saying he should not have been punished in some way, shape, or form. He broke the rules, point blank, period. Right? The rules are created in a way that Blizzard and even Magic has this too. Every company has this,
Yeah.
where if you say something that in some way tarnishes the image of said company, you can be removed just point blank.
Let me
Um,
ask you this: if someone went up there and in their victory speech said "fuck Donald Trump," what would the penalty be?
in Hearthstone,
Yeah,
it would probably be like a month,
and would they lose their
or
winnings?
like probably not. Like
Yeah,
that's what everybody's saying is like specifically like it was very apparent because the very next day the American team that held up the sign that said free Hong Kong, like nothing happened to them, nothing. They actually forced themselves out by quitting
mhm,
because they were like, you guys are just a bunch of fucking hypocrites.
for sure, and good on them because exactly what it is. And it's like Blizzard saw the backlash, and they're like, "Oh fuck! If we ban them, then we're doubling down on being complete fucking dicks in this whole scenario and fucking up twice." But now, if we don't ban them, it's one of those things where it's like you fucked up so bad that there's nothing you can do right now that is going to
Yeah.
save you. Like they're screwed. They are absolutely screwed until BlizzCon's over and like it gets burnt to the ground and who knows what. I don't fucking know. But you're right because they came off scot free for making the exact same kind of statement that this Blitzchung guy did. And if you were to make a statement regarding like if I came up there and said fuck Justin Trudeau, we have an election in like a week or two here in Canada. I'm
Oh,
not
do
sure
you?
if you're aware. Yeah,
No, I
our
know nothing about
federal
Canada.
election to elect our prime minister is in like a couple of weeks. I've been watching the debates. No one gives a fuck outside of like Canada. It's just but if I went on out there and after a tournament and I said fuck this guy and fuck that guy and whatever, nothing would happen to me. If I went up there and said fuck Justin Trudeau, woo, thank you with my big novelty check, I would be in the next tournament, no problem. And people would say, hey, don't just maybe next time don't say the F
Yeah,
word.
don't say that.
You could say I don't like this guy because they probably wouldn't even know who it is. Fuck Trump would have probably a month suspension, no monetary actual penalties involved. But apparently, when you're, you know, when the fucking hand of China is so far up your puppet ass, you can't do much
It's
about
just, and we don't even know if that's actually what happened, but that's just like that's what it reads, right? It reads as a make an example of this person.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it came off as, and it doubled down when the Americans weren't punished in the same way.
Right.
So it's it's one of those things where it's just like in trying to just uphold your rules and your tournament structure, like you end up just looking like giant asshole.
Yeah.
That's just what Blizzard looks like right now, is a giant asshole. And BlizzCon's gonna be a shit show, so
I'm ready to go. I don't know what else I could say about this, because I mean, I've already kind of gone on record right now as to, but again, I like, just to close my book on this whole thing. It's the situation is exceptionally dire and bleak, and but also incredibly inspiring to see these people fight for their freedom. And I would never be able to survive in that atmosphere. And I wish them all the best of luck for the best to happen there, because everybody deserves to be free. On the same regard, lots of credit to this BlizzCon guy for speaking his mind. The platform might have not have been the right place for it. At the same time, you got to do what you got to do. And
it's been the perfect place for it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because look what has happened.
Yeah.
So at the same time, you have to take opportunities when they come to you, when the actual platform and spotlight is there, to bring light to injustices. For those who are struggling to justify whether they should go to work for these events or whatnot, getting paid to do something you love is not, you're not the bad guy at the same regard. And sometimes you have to actually, because if it's the difference of actually paying rent or not, at the same time, you have to take care of yourself in these regards. And it's difficult, because people like That's Admirable and Brian Kibler have other opportunities and a reputation. But at the same time, I mean, it's a call. So you can't hate on these people. Hate on the transgressor. Don't hate on those who are caught off guard by this stuff.
Yeah,
because just the day before there was going to be no problem, and then suddenly everything changed.
Yeah, and like the employees of Blizzard made their voice really loud and clear when they covered the code of conduct out front of Blizzard, and they staged the walkout. I'm sure that probably led to this statement from Blizzard as well, because when you have your entire office just standing outside and no work's getting done, well, guess what? Can't fire our whole office, so guess we should do something about it. So again, don't be mad at the employees or streamers or anything like that. But anyway, that was the big story this week, and
well, there's gonna be more to it. Like, we're gonna hear more about this. Like, next week is gonna be another fucking recap of this shit, and I'm excited to see how this progresses. But
I just hope it gets better. That's all.
Of course, and everybody does, because it's a fucking terrible situation that's going on over there, and I hope it gets resolved. I wish tomorrow everything would get worked out and everyone would be happy, but that's not how things work.
That's not reality.
No, sometimes you have to fight and bleed and sweat and struggle for what you deserve, and that's what's going on over there.
For sure. Well, my man, we should probably call it. We went a little bit over. That's all right. Good discussions. Thanks for hanging out, man. Before we go, though, of course, we always got to do our shout-outs.
Yes.
My man, Flake.
All right. So, as always, I will give the primary and most important shout-out to my handsome co-caster / co-host / the Frostie to my Flake. Frostie, thank you so much for, as always, making sure that everything rolls amazingly and does what you do, and you're always so beautiful, and I can't wait to win that Eldraine bundle, so thank you very much for that. Also, to everybody in the chat, you guys are awesome, so thanks for being part of the discussion and for being cool and awesome. And same thing, I'm going to give a mad ups to my local grocery store, because when I was craving some vanilla wafers, I went and they were half price. So fucking thank you so much, Loblaws in Port Credit, Ontario. You guys are awesome. So thank you so much for those. And that's what I'm going to shout out.
All right, fair enough. I will be streaming after this. We'll be playing some Magic the Gathering and running more of our giveaway for that Throne of Eldraine bundle. So stick around and chat. I'll be live after a few. I got to go refresh the drink and all that. But thank you guys all so much for hanging out. And we'll see you next week on the next episode of the Frostie Flake Show. Peace out.